Timmy B, me and you talked a little bit. We got some big games this weekend. Week 2, week 3 as we call it here. We got some huge games. Right. But Texas, I know you're not sold on them. I've got them going undefeated, winning the Big 12, getting to the playoff, and losing to LSU. We disagree there a little bit, huh?
Yeah, we do. But hey, we agree on a lot of other things.
We actually do. This year it's weird. We're very congruent on a lot. What do you think Texas's downfall is going to be?
Defense. I just don't think they make enough plays. And the biggest issue they have, and if they can solve this, if Sark has it solved, and if Chris Del Conde, an athletic director I think the world of, look, I have no axe to grind with Texas, but they have a culture issue at that university. And when I say that, people go, whoa, what do you mean? It has really nothing to do with the players, although there's a trickle down to the players because of the culture. Way too many people involved that are not a part of the athletic department that sway and curry favor, so to speak. There are political battles. There's a lot of political infighting in Austin. Okay, the state of Texas, I know, is considered a red state, a conservative state, but Austin is probably its most liberal city. And I mean, you really just can't get around it. And some of the issues historically, the tradition with the university has come to pass from the Eyes of Texas song and its meaning or double meaning, all that. And they let throughout the last few years anyway, they've let a lot of that, I think, get out of hand. They got to find a way to get past that in unison. And kids are smart. These athletes are bright, and their ears perk up when they hear the noise. And I think that's been probably the issue. Not so much the players that have been recruited. They've always been able to get the best athletes in the Big 12, but they've not been able to mesh together as a team. I thought for years that, and I know Tom Herman tried to work with this, Charlie Strong tried to work with this. They had a club med mentality. And I think part of that goes back to when Mac Brown was there, and God bless Mac. I mean, he gave them their last national championship, could have had a second. But, he was getting these 5-star players in early recruiting. He had them wrapped up when they were sophomores and juniors. And by the time these guys actually got to Austin, I think they came in feeling a level of privilege, and they did not perform. They simply did not perform to the level of their so-called recruiting rating. And I think maybe some of that is changing now. The portal might be helpful in that regard. NIL is certainly big for them. No question about that. Their quarterback room is great. If they beat Alabama, you may be right. I just don't think they will. Yeah. And what has happened to Texas is when they dropped a game, an important game, there's been a tendency for them to not be ready for the next one, not play particularly well in so-called sandwich games after big games. Yeah. So we'll see.
So it's kind of kind of an alignment issue, not hey, you're supposed to line up in a 3, why you lined up in a 2I, but alignment issue at the university, maybe a little spoiled rich kid syndrome. Maybe a little bit of that. Hopefully, I'm rooting for Sark. Again, I think it is going to come down to defense. I think it's kind of not a similar problem that USC has. I've watched USC be physical. I think it's a Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch problem more than it's a USC problem when we look out there. But I hope they can figure it out there at Texas this year, because I got them going. I got them winning the Big 12 and losing the playoff. But we'll see. We'll see. They got to prove it.
You may be right. And maybe they're catching Saban at the right time, because Nick made a fool out of himself yesterday. And I tweeted about it, and it was pathetic what he said.
Tell everybody what you said. Tell everybody what you said
about not delivering a depth chart. Well, this just in. There's a little history, with me and depth charts. All right. I think it was 4 years ago, maybe 5. Or hell, it might have been 6. It might have been 17. I went in, Jim Harbaugh wasn't putting out, and it was widely known that he wasn't putting out depth charts for anybody. And I just thought that was out of place and tone deaf to particularly those that follow the team, and the press, I think, deserves something to work with. Okay, I mean, it's just. And by the way, when millions are being paid, whether it's to the SEC or to the Big Ten, to broadcast a game, there should be some standards. It's not asking much to put out a too deep depth chart. And if you're not sure who your quarterback's going to be, well, then stack 3 of them there. Okay, Monroe or the next guy or the next guy. I really don't care if it's Buckner or whoever it is. Just stack them. All right, but now look, he may turn out to, and I'm guessing he will, allow ESPN's talent, whoever's doing the game for the SEC network against Middle Tennessee, to get a depth chart of some sort, and then ask them to embargo it and not release it to anybody. But to say what he did to his local media, it was bullying, and he does that often. It's beneath him. Harbaugh and I, by the way, did have a Twitter spat over it. I made mention that I thought it was sophomoric what he was doing. He took exception and tweeted me back. To Jim's credit, I mean, he came right back at me, and we went at it for a while, and we talked it out when I got to Ann Arbor. He understood where I was coming from. But Saban, to say that, hey, you guys think this is set in stone forever, this is affecting my players. Come on, Dick. Come on. I mean, that's beneath you. And frankly, yeah, you don't just go into the booth and get ready to do a game without having done some homework. This is my depth chart, okay? That's what it looks like. Offense, defense, special teams, both teams. It looks like a call sheet for the West Coast offense, okay? It's big.
looks like an Operation Overlord.
Yeah. And it looks like an F paper. It's chicken scratch by the time I get there when we get the anecdotes from the coaches. And when you and I get done today, I'm going to, in a couple of hours, be talking with the Central Michigan coaches, Jim McElwain and his staff, some players, because we have a game on Friday with Michigan State. But, you need something to work with so that when you go in to meet with the coaches, the staff, and the players, whether it be Thursday or Friday, you need to have your skeleton and your foundation for your depth charts done. It's beyond the pale to say some of the things that he gets away with saying and treat the media there the way he does, have them believe that they need to genuflect and cower at his every move. And I just thought the lame excuse given, enough already. I think there are a lot of people in the media that feel, even now, if we don't pick Alabama, oh my God, Nick might be pissed.
Yeah.
Well, so what? Be pissed. Okay.
He hadn't sent me a check yet.
Yeah. I mean, send me one of those Mercedes, pal. I mean, come on. It's just enough. I'm tired.
Oh,
he's the guy that sets the bar. He's the standard bearer. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. And I know Nick. I like Nick. But by God, I'm not going to cower to the guy. I'm 3 years younger than him. We're contemporaries. And he feels he's the best at what he does. Well, by God, I feel like I'm one of the best at what I do. And when I see something like that I believe is wrong, I'm going to call him out. He is not above being called out by anybody.
I can make you super duper happy really quickly with our friends over at Good Ranchers. All right, we got the summer going into fall. It's tailgate season. And you can't be dropping the ball for your boys, all right? Or you can't show up with some low-grade quality meat that everybody looks around and just has to give to the animals because it's not worthy. And Good Ranchers, they never let you down. They get every 3rd and 3 ever of all time, okay? We know inflation's crazy too. How about if you could lock in your price for 2 years? That'd be great. Wish I could do that on everything. Thank God I did it on my interest rate in my house. And you may be thinking, a price lock meat on guarantee on meat? Yeah, it's amazing, and you need to do it. They're the only meat company that locks in your price with their industry-first price lock guarantee. Been doing it since 2021. And when you subscribe to Good Ranchers, you get a guaranteed price and you get a trusted 100% American source for your favorite cuts. They're not bringing this in over here from England or Ireland. This is grown in the soil of the greatest country God has ever graced this planet with, and that is the United States of America. All right, so visit GoodRanchers.com. Use our code BOOSTER for $30 off any box. You got the new pork box, David.
I did.
You absolutely love it.
Got the pork box.
Yep, I got the butcher's box. Absolutely love it. Blaine, chicken. That's promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, GoodRanchers.com. GoodRanchers.com. American meat delivered.
That's an interesting perspective from someone who's done it for a long time.
Talk your ish, Timmy B.
Tim,
Talk your ish.
We got our first look at USC and Notre Dame this past weekend. Both won big in very different ways, though. Your first impressions?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I think Notre Dame's going to be different because of Sam Hartman. I put them, as you know, just on the edge of my top 10. I had them as the first team out.
Yep, me
of
too.
My top 10. I said I believe they can beat Ohio State. I think they serve notice why they can beat Ohio State, particularly at home and with a quarterback like him that can force a defense to have to deal with the breadth, width, and the depth of the field. Now, Navy's not Ohio State by any stretch, and the outcome of that game may have been more of a byproduct of Navy not being good versus Notre Dame being that good. USC's problems, as I said, I put them right there with Texas as being most overrated. That was one of the teams I didn't have rated at all, as you guys remember. And I didn't have them even in my just out category. I don't think they're the third best team in the Pac-12. I don't. So their problems are defense, and you can't just fix that. I mean, and by the way, San Jose State's not a bad team.
Yeah.
They've been good, not that far removed from a Mountain West title a few years ago. Back during the COVID year, and they're well coached. But I mean, 396 yards, almost 400 yards given up. That's not a pretty good look. And USC at some point is going to have to deal with Utah. They're going to have to deal with other teams that match up favorably against them, and there are a lot of them, in my opinion. So those are the games that jumped out, other than the one that we had, which was competitive, and I think the kid Rourke, I believe, is going to be okay. Yeah. Quarterback at Ohio U, by the way, that got knocked out early. I think he did tweak a little bit that ACL, and his coach, Tim Albin, probably did the right thing. It's going to be hard to win the MAC division and to get back to the MAC title game. But I don't think either team played their best, but it was competitive.
Mm-hmm. It was a fun game to watch, for sure.
Let's go to Utah, Florida, Timmy B. How worry you about if you're Utah if the Dark Knight Cam Rising does not play in that game?
Well, he and Keithy, remember the tight end also is injured and or has been, and those are vital guys. I mean, they love to go 12 personnel and use him, and they can line him up off the line of scrimmage at times. Their run game is really good. And certainly they still have the defense, which, could be the calling card for them in a lot of games. And it may well be in this one, too, against Florida. If Richardson were back, I would be worried if I were Utah, but he's not. And I think that, the long memory of what happened to that team for Whittingham is probably stinging even to this day. Mm-hmm. And going into that stadium, by the way, Ross Eccles, that's a tough place, man. Mm-hmm. That's one of those vastly underrated home fields out west. It's not quite as good an environment maybe as Alton, but it's right up there. I still think Utah will win the game, but Florida has a much better chance now if Cam Rising's not completely healthy and can't go.
Go out there in Utah, play with Bigfoot and werewolves.
The game's sitting at -6.5 Utah right now.
Over-under still 45.5?
I believe, and I don't think that's factoring if Cam Rising doesn't play. So God, Cam Rising,
that under, Cam Rising man, I'm leaning play, toward that under.
Surprised if this game shoots down to a 2.
I'd lean on the under because Whittingham, if Cam is not completely healthy, he'll play small ball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey, let's bunt and run. Yeah. Let's bunt and run.
Timmy B, Travis Elrod wants to know.
Love some Travis.
Will Dana Holgorsen still be at Houston after this season?
Well, he needs to perform well this year. They lost a number of close games last year in what was a very competitive league. That UTSA game is very important. Okay, very important. And they barely beat them in overtime in the Alamo Dome last year. And I would say if Tulane, which is my group of 5, fly in the ointment in my top 10, if it's not Tulane, I think it is UTSA. That's your next best bet as a team from outside the so-called Power Five. I don't like going there anymore. I'm trying to stay away from saying power and group of. I just want to say Division I college football now. But yeah, I think that those early games are critical. They've got a lot that, they open with TCU in the Big 12, and that's a game Spencer and I are going to have on September the 16th in primetime on Big Fox. And I think that that's a very important game for them too. Getting off to a really good start is huge. I think Tillman Fertitta, though, and the other people that are investing in the program, and they've had a lot of investment in Houston. I have said to a lot of people, I think Houston long-term is the program coming into the Big 12 that has the best upside. But short-term, BYU is the team to look out for because they're ready-made grown men, as we like to say, play for Kehlani Shiitake, and that team also plays strong defensively. So won't that be fun, by the way, having the Holy War as a rivalry in the Big 12. It's going to be great.
Here's an interesting one for Houston.
It's a tough year for Dana. Dana's got to get it done and have a good record. 7 or 8 wins first year Big 12. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, he doesn't watch out. Jeff Traylor's going to go from UTSA to Houston, not just to play him in the first game this year.
October 21st.
He's like Joey McGuire. He is.
Yeah. October 21st, Texas goes to Houston. All right. Now that may seem like a no-brainer win for Texas to a lot of people, but keep in mind, Texas is going to have to go. Texas is going to have to go on the road to Houston, Baylor, and TCU. 3 Texas teams that they may be playing for the last time in a long time.
And therein lies the reason you and I are at odds over Texas, my friend. Okay, Jake, that's why. Because they are already the targeted team. Every time they go on the road, it's like being a homecoming opponent, even though they may be favored in most of those games. Okay, playing at Baylor will not be easy because Baylor's going to be good. They get a run game to go with Blake Shapen. I think that's a team to keep an eye on. Aranda's not going to have 2 bad years in a row. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And when you look at Texas Tech and Houston, by the way, that's a game Texas really doesn't want to play.
I know.
For a long time, they were saying, well, by God, we're not going to be in the Big 12 if Houston's in the league. That whole medical center school thing is a problem for the overlords of the Texas program. All right. They don't like upstart Houston, never have. And trust me, that's a game that is circled there. But I think Texas does have enough probably to beat the Cougs this year. But I'm not sure about Baylor, and I'm not sure about a lot of those games that they've got to play on the road. Texas Tech has been a thorn in their side, since Kingsbury was there. I mean, beat them at times when, they had, 500 teams. Kingsbury was able to beat them. So, and he even beat them at Texas, which, I don't think he had ever won a game at that stadium as a quarterback or as a coach until he beat them Thanksgiving weekend back in 2015, I think it was. So there's a lot of history here, and Texas is the target. Oklahoma to a certain degree as well, but Texas much more so. They are the most hated team on the road in the Big 12, whether they're leaving or not. They are.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be up there at Michigan State. They take on the Chippewas of Central Michigan. Timmy B, it's always great to have you, my friend. Hey, YouTube, do us a favor. If you're watching this, make sure you're subscribed. Turn that notification bell on and like the videos. Helps us get in the algorithm. We're almost to 100,000. We really, really appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you again.